Good morning, folks, and welcome to day 3 of our Bible in a Year podcast. For those of you who may not have joined us before, my name is Reverend Alex, and it's lovely to have you here with us. This year we're going to be looking at a little bit of scripture every single day, so that by the time we reach the end of the year we will have read the entire Bible together. But first, let's start with a little bit of prayer. Lord, as we come before you with open hearts and minds, grant us your wisdom and peace as we go about our day, so that we may shine as lights with one another, showing your love to all those whom we meet. Amen. Our first reading today is going to be from Genesis, starting to read at chapter 6. So our first reading is taken from Genesis chapter 6. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and the daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of human were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans, and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground. For I regret that I have made them. But Noah found favour in the eyes of the Lord. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time. He walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it, and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof 1 opening a cubit high all around. Put a door in the side of the ark, and make lower, middle, and upper decks. I am going to bring flood waters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has life of it in it. Everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons, and your wife and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten, and store it away as food for you and for them. Noah did everything just as God had commanded. The Lord then said to Noah, Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, and 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also 7 pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep their various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature I have made. And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the floodwaters came on the earth, and Noah and his sons and his wife's sons entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Pairs of clean and unclean animals, of birds and of all creatures that move along the ground, male and female, came to Noah and entered the ark as God had commanded Noah. And after the 7 days the flood waters came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the 2nd month, on that day all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened, and rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that very day, Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, together with his wife and the wives of his 3 sons, entered the ark. They had with them every wild animal according to its kind, all livestock according to their kinds, every creature that moves along the ground according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, everything with wings. Pairs of all creatures that have the breath of life in them came to Noah and entered the ark. The animals going in were male and female of every living thing, as God had commanded Noah. Then the Lord shut him in. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. They rose greatly on the earth, and all the high mountains under the heaven were covered. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth of more than 15 cubits. Every living thing that moved on the land perished. Birds, livestock, wild animals, all creatures that swarm over the earth, and all mankind. Everything on dry land that had the breath of life in its nostrils died. Every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out. People and animals and the creatures that move along the ground, and the birds were wiped from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those on the ark with him. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days. This is a reading that we are all very familiar with. Many have heard the story of Noah and his ark. The animals going in 2 by 2 is a popular children's song even. And yet it can be brutal when we read it. As a standalone reading, it's God taking out vengeance upon the earth. And yet, those whom have found favour with him are spared. He ensures a continuation of life, a rescuing of every kind of creature. We wonder, what must they have been feeling and thinking? What must it have been like to be in the ark? To build a structure so immense that every living thing can fit on it? Would have been a feat of great engineering. Still would be today. Our second reading is Psalm 3, a psalm of David when he fled from his son Absalom. Lord, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. But you, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. I call out to the Lord, and he answers me from his holy mountain. I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. I will not fear though tens of thousands assail me on every side. Arise, Lord, deliver me, my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked. For the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be upon your people. Psalms can take many forms. Some are of lament, some are of thanksgiving and praise, and others are pleading for God's support, much like this one is. Here we have David feeling surrounded and beset by his enemies, and he's begging the Lord to come to his salvation, but also has great faith. He is sure that the Lord sustains him, that the Lord is his shield, and yet he's crying out to God for help and support. Something that many of us will have felt at some time in our lives or another is that pleading with God to just be there, to support us, to walk with us, to protect us and deliver us from what is happening around us. And it's something that people have been calling to God for years. And as we will see as we progress through the Psalms, there are answers. Our third reading today is from Luke chapter 6, beginning at verse 27. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. If someone slaps you on one cheek, turn to them the other also. If someone takes your coat, do not withhold your shirt from them. Give to everyone who asks you, and if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. And if you lend to those from whom you can expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners, expecting to be repaid in full. But love your enemies. Do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. Then your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, because he is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with you the measure is full. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. He has also told them this parable. Can the blind lead the blind? Will they not both fall into a pit? The student is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully trained will be like their teacher. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, Brother, let me take that speck out of your eye, when you yourself fail to see the plank in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. Each tree is recognized by its own fruit. People do not pick figs from thorn bushes, or grapes from briars. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? As for everyone who comes to me and hears my words, and puts them into practice, I will show you what they are like. They are like a man building a house, who dug down deep and laid the foundation on rock. When a flood came, the torrent struck that house, but could not shake it, because it was well built. But the one who hears my words and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house upon the ground without foundation. The moment the torrent struck that house, it collapsed, and its destruction was complete. There's a lot to unpack in this reading today. There are many of our sayings that we are familiar with. An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. The blind leading the blind. Turn the other cheek. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Powerful words, and words that we're all familiar with, and yet they are so difficult to put into practice. To forgive is the hardest thing we can do, and yet it is what is asked of us. We are asked to turn the other cheek, to love those who would do us harm and wrong, to show them the grace and love of God. It's not easy, and no one ever said it would be, and yet that's what God asks of us, what Jesus shows to those around him. When we heard about the Pharisees asking in our very first reading about him eating with sinners and tax collectors, he says the healthy do not need a doctor. And it is true. And the loved do not need more love necessarily. It is the unloved who need to be shown that radical, inclusive love. The love of God that says no matter what our choice is, I love you, but I love you enough to want better for you. As we finish up today on day 3, it has been another mixed bag. We hear of God offering up unconditional radical love in our gospel reading and asking us to do the same. And yet in our reading from Genesis, we see God being so frustrated with the world that he sent a flood to destroy it. Two counterparts to God's understanding and relationship with humans. And the difference is Jesus and his sacrifice for us. In our psalm, we hear David crying out to God, sure in the knowledge of one thing, that God is listening and that God has the power to deliver him from his troubles. So as we go about our day today, let us rest in that sure knowledge that God walks with us. He hears us when we cry out to him, whether in pain or joy, sorrow or comfort. He hears and listens to all his children. Thank you.